On this episode of the Garlic Marketing Show, we're talking about the guy who helped Michael Gerber of eMyth really grow his online business, develop it, as well as Chris Goegan helped one roofing contractor grow from $3 million to $10 million in 1 year. We're going to talk a lot about the mindset, the long-term mindset, where people make mistakes in traffic, how to be moved to a great marketer. We're talking about aiming small and missing small, which I think is crucial, as well as one of the biggest things I think is how to market when things are going bad. But Chris Goegan, thanks so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
And hey, thanks for having me here. Thanks for allowing me to come on and share.
Chris and I are going to get into this, but don't forget this is brought to you by videocasestory.com. We'll talk about cold, warm, and hot systems for your traffic, why they're important, and why you might be wasting money. Video case stories should be cold, warm, and hot and be used throughout your entire funnel. Go to videocasestory.com to learn 50 ways to use it and how to collect, craft, and deliver video case stories, not testimonials. All right, let's get to it. And Chris, I can tell you're in California right now, but you're not originally from California, are you?
What gave it away?
I got the A at the end there.
I'm a Canadian. Yeah, so I play hockey and I talk funny. Holy smokes, eh? Yeah. Winters are a little bit nicer out here in California than Canada.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. Oh man, especially when you get that deep into the accent, it reminds me of Strange Brew, one of my favorite movies of all time.
I just played that for my kids for the first time. So I've got kids like a 20-year-old, 18-year-old, 14-year-old, and 10-year-old, and like they were howling. My little guy just absolutely loved it.
Oh man, I'm like, I gotta go watch that because it is such a funny movie. It is a genius movie. But we're not here to talk about movies. We're here to talk about marketing. Well, we can talk about video. But so Chris,
and I do a good Bob Doug McKenzie impersonation. If we got time, later.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. I want to hear it.
Okay, so g'day, welcome to our show, So today I'm here with my good friend Ian Garlic, and we're gonna talk about marketing,
I love it. I love it. So Chris, now we're talking about marketing. Tell me what type of marketing you do. Give me a quick overview because you were a former engineer and that I love that.
Yeah, former engineer with degrees in engineering, and I help companies grow and scale. I know a lot of people say that, but it's like I'm like companies are here, point A, wherever that is, they want to go to point B, wherever that is, where they're looking to get to like multiple six figures, crack seven figures, get to 5, 10 million, get to 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. I help them. I build the growth systems and roll it out with them to make that happen.
Nice. And why, when you talk, the engineering mind, it makes all the sense in the world, but how did your engineering mind at first help you to think through marketing in a different way?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I got into marketing was actually a whole lot easier than engineering. So when I was a manufacturing engineer with Ford Motor Company, here I was barely 20 years old, and I had a full-time job at a $65 million personal budget and marching orders. Hey, go into this area of the plant. I get thrown in the worst area of the plant. Go make it better or you're fired. But that's a good motivation. So I had great mentors and teachers along the way. And I had to go in and very quickly and easily find out where the biggest problems and the biggest opportunities were, prioritize them, and develop a game plan to go after them. Now, when you think about marketing, it's that you see similarities with that. And then I'm a systems thinker. And so I was working at Ford Motor Company, and we had to make 1 million engines defect free every single year. And when you're making an engine block, you had a process. You had to figure out how to make this thing, and you had to look at it. And you had about 1,000 steps to make that engine block, and that's literally 1,000 steps. The step we do this, next step we do that, next step we do this, next step we do that. So and then we measure every single step what we do, and then we're able to auto correct and auto adjust based off of what it was. So you can see how all these things translate over into marketing, because into marketing it's the same thing. We're building the way I see it is we're building high volume manufacturing lines, but we're not manufacturing engines, we're manufacturing sales. And every sale, there's a step one, step two, step three, step four. What happens next? What happens next? What happens next? And so having that mindset, and we measure every single thing. If we can measure it, we can improve it. So because most people, and I'll end on this side, because like most people don't have thought to what they do. They just do. And so when you do it with thought and you engineer out a system and a process for doing things, the results are nothing short of miraculous. Now, I'm not talking about overnight miraculous, none of that garbage, but I'm talking about miraculous, like what you're going to accomplish over a period of time.
Love it. Yeah, it's so true. And like you said, not overnight,
Yep.
but if you're building a giant machine, you've got to build it and fix it and find out what works and find out what doesn't. They didn't build the whole plant right in one fell swoop and it worked perfectly, did they?
No, no, and we would, whenever we had like new model year products coming in, we would first like make the prototype, and we'd beat the tar out of the prototype, try to break it every way we could. And then once we had the prototype, then we'd build a small volume manufacturing, so we could make it in small volume. And the small volume, the purpose of that was to get our manufacturing down and to develop our systems. Once we had the small volume down, then we went to high volume. And so we would have these like hockey stick growth curves for manufacturing, where the prototype, you're not going to see much action going on. Like, there's not a lot. We're not making lots. We're making one engine, two, three, four engines. We had small volume manufacturing. We're making more, but we're getting our systems all dialed in, so everything's working. We know how to do it. And then once we have that, then we just open up the spigot and we go high volume pretty quickly.
And when I hear about this, because I think a lot of people, if you're not an expert in marketing or you're not doing it all the time, they think, well, marketing's a lot simpler than manufacturing an engine, which in a way, yes, but in a way I feel no, because you're also dealing with the human mind and all these other external factors.
Yep. Yep.
How do you feel about that?
No, I'm 100%. I agree with you on that. It's like, which one's more difficult? Well, I think that the difficult thing is I don't know if it's one's more difficult than the other, but if you want to be good as an engineer, you got to be able to you got to be strategic, you got to be able to think, and then you got to be able to measure and adjust. And if you think about that as a marketer, well, you got to be strategic, you got to think, about your product, about what you're selling, about the psychological factors of your market. What type of, are they cold, are they warm, are they hot? Like what type of prospect are you selling to? What's, all the other factors there, the human factors. And then you got to be able to measure and adjust. So it's whatever you do, and anybody listening to this, like, look at what you do. Like, anybody can do what you do, but to do it really well, it requires, you got to think, and you got to have expertise and applied knowledge, and then you make adjustments and feedback as you go along.
And then you build the systems out.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing too, is having the systems and improving on it. And obviously you've done that. And speaking of systems, you worked with Michael Gerber, who was one of the leader in the idea of businesses having systems. Tell me, so Michael wrote the E-Myth and E-Myth Revisited, great business books. Why did he come to you for his marketing?
So it's actually a funny story of how he came to me, and how we met is, his wife, Luz Delia, who's is really big in natural health, and she was at a natural health conference, which is the largest natural health conference in the world. She was at, and she found out who put it on. She went right to the top. She found out who put it on, and she said, Steve, she goes like, I love what you've done with your marketing. I love what you're doing with this conference. I love everything that you've done. I need help with my business. I need help with marketing. What should I do? And he laughed, and he says, you need to go talk to Chris. She's like, who? And so he told her about me because they were a startup. They didn't exist. So they went from nothing to the biggest in the world in 3 years. And yeah, and so I was on board, and he had built a massive company before this. So he had a lot of resources he could have reached out to, but instead, he found me and reached out to me, and we built, in 3 years, went from nothing to the largest in the world. Anyhow, so Luz Delia comes home. She looks me up, finds out that I'm just up the street from her, about 45 minutes, an hour north of her in Southern California. Calls me up, and is like, I'd like you to come down and meet with me. I'm like, I wonder if she's like related to to Michael Gerber. It's like kind of same name. So I went down there. I met with her. We talked, and we just had a great conversation. Just a delightful woman. Great conversation. And she's like, you know what? She goes, I want you to meet my husband. Like, okay, great. And then who walks through the door? But the man, the myth, the legend. Michael Gerber walks in, and we talked and we laughed and we joked around and we hit it off like right away. Um, I think it's because of how tall we both are or aren't. But it's like we're both system thinkers. Michael's obviously probably the greatest systems thinker in small business, and here I am, an engineer who systems in manufacturing and then systems in sales and systems in marketing. So we hit it off right away. One conversation is like, let's have another one, let's have another one, let's have another one, let's have another one. And he's like, hey, you know what? And that's when he said, hey, I'd like to involve you with some of the things we're doing. And
Yeah, nice. I love it. I love it. And you helped him grow. Tell about the business you helped him grow.
so at the time, uh, he wanted to sell the Dreaming Room. So the Dreaming Room was. He told me about how he started the Dreaming Room. He said he was speaking. Um, he was doing a workshop in Vancouver, Canada, and there's I can't remember how many people, a couple hundred people there, something like that. And he got down as he got done with it. He said, "You know what?" He had this flash and inspiration. He says, "You know what?" He goes, "I'm going to do a workshop. It's going to be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and forgive me if I might have the dates wrong on this stuff like that, but some of the details wrong. But anyhow, he goes, I'm going to do this workshop. He goes, I have no idea what we're going to do, but it's going to be remarkable." And, and he had a lot of people sign up for it, and I think it was like a couple $1,000 at the time or something like that. And he created the Dreaming Room there, and the Dreaming Room was just about just creating a brand new business with a blank sheet of paper, just developing it in your mind. And so he worked on it, worked on it, worked on it, worked on it, and then it was really good. People loved it, and so he just wanted. It's almost like he wanted to sail off into the sunset with the Dreaming Room. So he's like, I just want to sell a ton of Dreaming Rooms. And so I went and started putting together marketing programs for it, and we started rolling some things out and getting some results, and I'm getting this feedback in, and I'm like, Michael, like nobody wants a Dreaming Room, and understand a lot of people want the Dreaming Room, but not in like the levels that we're looking at. And it's like they don't want the Dreaming Room, and he's like, sell the Dreaming Room. I'm like, they don't want it. He's like, sell it. They don't want it. Sell it. One thing about engineers, we're stubborn as all heck, man. I'm stubborn, and so is Michael. So it was a great relationship that way. And then finally, I remember being on the phone call with him, where he stopped and he's like, holy crap, Chris, you're right. He's like, this is profound. I'm like, yeah, thanks. He goes, no, 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 no. He goes, I don't think you know how really profound this really is. I'm like, how help me out. I'm just this dumb kid from Canada. I'm not really a kid anymore. I'm what 54, so it's like I can't really use a kid thing anymore. But it's like it's like he's like, well, he goes, I wrote the E Myth a long time ago, and the E Myth was about fixing broken businesses. He's like, why do we have to wait for businesses to be broken before we fix them? He's like, why don't we just teach them how to build up right from the beginning? And so that was like summation of a lot of calls, a lot of conversations that we had. He goes, you're right, Chris. He goes, I don't think you understand how profound this is. And so that started him onto his new venture, and then into to Radical U and his 8 steps, to building like a massively successful business. And yeah, and it's just like and thing with Mike. First of all, if you have not read, I'm not talking to you, but anyone listening to this, because I know you have. If you have not read E Myth, go get that book today. E Myth, get the revisited version. You read about Sarah and all about pies, and you'll absolutely love it. That book I have on the shelf as like one of the books for my kids to read. I've read hundreds and hundreds of business books, but I've got a very small. I threw them all out, but I kept a very small set, and that's one of the ones for my kids to read. Um, and yeah, and the guy is like there's people who are smart, and then there's Michael Gerber. That guy is a different level of genius. I've never met anybody as smart as him. And then somebody paid me one of the greatest compliments. They said Chris, they said what you do is you're the practical application of what Michael talks about. And I thought that was that was pretty cool.
And so you've obviously, besides Michael's, you've had a lot of success on it. You helped one roofing company you said before grow from 3 to 10 million in a year.
Yeah. Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yep. Do you want the backstory behind it, or do you just want me to just tell you
Sure.
straight?
Yeah, tell me the backstory. What happened?
So I've been working one on one with clients for a long time. So I spent a while as an engineer, then I was in sales. And I made over 100,000 cold calls in sales, and then I got
Wow.
into marketing. And then the internet came around, and so I blend all these things together. And anyhow, so I put together a program where I've taken what's worked so well with my private client side. We got an extremely high success rate with what we do, extremely high, and I think it was like 99% success rate with our one-on-one private client work. And so I put that in the form of a program because I want to roll it out to like a bigger audience, lower price point, and all the rest of that good stuff. And I had somebody come to me and they said, Chris, it said, I'm interested in this program. I don't have time. Can't work with me. I got rid of my whole marketing department. I've got an operations manager who knows nothing about marketing, and she's busy, and all she's got is 2 hours a week. I'm like, all right, sure, let's try it. I'm game if you are. So we went through it. At the time it was a 12-week program, now it's a 3-month program. But we went through that, and they got done with that, and they're like, this is unbelievable, Chris. And they're like, we just hired a guy full time who said he can do what you do. So this is like I think in like March or April or something like that. Well, I didn't really hear back from him until the end of the year. At the end of the year, in December, right before Christmas, he sends me an email, says like, send me a contract. And so I reply back, it's like, contract for what? For what? Like, and he goes, we got more from you in those 12 weeks than we did with this other guy for the rest of the year. You accomplished more in that period of time. So we want to work with you this next coming year. So that laid the table. And then that year, we went. They went from 3 million to 10 million. They saved about $2 million in operating expenses, marketing expenses in that time. And we rolled out a number of things. And the whole time it was built off of me working with the operations manager who knew nothing about marketing, who had 2 hours a week, and then she was able to carve out like extra time like outside of that. So we had calls where we had working calls. Like I like to do stuff. I like to get stuff done. We had working calls where we're creating campaigns on the spot, on the fly, and then just looking at the performance during the week, adjusting them back the next week, creating the next, just review, adjust back the next week. So we did the strategy, we did the thinking, and we put the measurables in place. And I go into detail like of the things that we did. If I don't know what kind of detail you want to talk about. If you want to talk about detail, whatever. But
Yeah, the more detail, the better. I want to hear the detail. Bring it on.
yeah, and feel free to drill down. So like one thing as an engineer, I remember having a conversation with guy who was the former chairman of the board for Dayton Hudson Corporation. Probably never heard of them, but who are they? Well, they had this company called Target or Target. And they've got stores all over the place. He reached out to me to help him, and he goes, Chris, he goes, one of my keys to success, he goes, I go 2 miles wide and 1 inch deep. And he's like, he goes, you go like 1 inch wide and 2 miles deep. So I can go on, I can talk any level of detail, like on stuff. So happy to go wherever. But anyhow, so what we did with them, and I do this with everybody. I have a system that I go through with working with everybody. It's like, first of all, it's like, we had to figure out what was special about them. People call it, like your USP, your unique selling proposition. I like to refer to as your unique and special positioning. So we had to, create their unique and special positioning, what they did better, different than anybody else. And they already had a lot of the stuff in place. I just had to talk, and we had to pull that out. So we pulled that out. We had this compelling differentiation about them, what they did different than anybody else. We created the engagement process so we could grab somebody's attention, amplify their attention, and then we built out some new pages on their website. We built out some new sales pages on the website, highlighting the differentiation, demonstrating it, and then we started. It was time to start rolling out campaigns, and so we rolled them out across multiple platforms. So we did a lot in a short period of time. We rolled it out on they had an email list first of all that they were using kind of nah, you know, hit and miss. Sometimes they used it, sometimes they didn't. They had no strategy that what they're doing. They posted like some social content stuff like that didn't really do a whole lot. They're just putting stuff out. They had some people that they had talked to who were really green behind the ears, who had no idea what they're doing, but thought that this like some campaigns would do extremely well, but didn't. We rolled things out on LinkedIn. We did some cold calling, some direct mail. But where things really blossomed is we leveraged. We were using Google, so we used Google search, ran multiple campaigns on Google search, and then got that working. And I'm a big believer in like aim small, miss small. You get something working. You got a real tightly defined market, in a really tightly defined market, and have all those lined up. It's and that aim small, miss small. Mel Gibson made a movie called The Patriot, and his oldest son got kidnapped by the British, and they're going to take him away to be executed. And Mel Gibson was setting up an ambush with his like 9 and 10 year old sons, and he said to him, he goes, "Remember what I taught you, boys?" Like, "Yeah, Dad." He says, "Aim small, miss small," meaning if you aim at the guy in the horse, you're probably not going to hit him. But if you aim at the third button down on his jacket, you may not hit that button, but you're sure as heck going to hit him. So I believe when you're starting things off is you want to get in the game first, and you get in the game by aim small, miss small. Very tightly defined market, very tightly. If you're using Google, very tightly defined bullseye, dead center bullseye keyword, very tightly defined ads around your core differentiation. Have all that and get that working small. Hammer it, hammer it, hammer it, hammer it, hammer it. Get it working small, and then scale it up. So we got it working small, and then we let it go crazy on the display network, and we ran it all over the display network. There's a lot of patterns that we saw. We recognized. They're a roofing contractor, so based off of different weather patterns, we turned regions on, turned regions off. We knew what campaigns were hitting. The data. As an engineer, I believe in data. I call it data feedback loop. The data comes back, and we feed that back into and make adjustments and refinements to the campaigns. We tested a number of different ads, a number of different creatives on images, and not obviously the ads itself, but the display network really like took off. We did tons with that, and we did a lot of learning from that. A lot of testing, a lot of refining, a lot of learning, a lot of things that people read about and know. And people know in practice, but very few people go deep on it. And I find that when you go deep on it and you get really in the head, the psyche of your best prospect and your best client, and you get deep in their psychology, why people buy, how people buy online, the pains and problems that they're having, all the things that people have heard about. But when you go really deep and really understand that, then you put that out in a way to engage their attention, to engage them, and then amplify that attention. The results are nothing short of miraculous. I remember being on a call with a dedicated Google rep, and he said, "Chris," goes, "Holy crap, what are you doing?" He's like, "I've never seen results like this before." He says, "I've seen usually this stuff you'll see is like with big companies that have massive data coming in. Not somebody who just started something off, who's barely in the game, and the numbers that you guys are posting." He goes, "You should like make like a case study about this." It's like, you know what? Yeah, I will someday. Maybe this is the someday. It's like, but for me, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm too busy working to worry to worry about that.
Oh
So
man, that's
yeah,
amazing.
well, and the thing is like, I mean, the results are amazing, but it's not amazing because like I as the engineer in me, I expect this to happen. Because when you're really good at something, I mean really good at something, and you got expertise that nobody else has, and you dive into the market and you learn that market like nobody else does, and you like like they have to file a restraining order because you know so much about them. They're like, dude, why are you looking through my window like with TV shows I watch? No, but when you know the big psychological factors, why they buy, how they buy online, the process that they go through to buy something. Are they cold? Are they warm? Are they hot? How do you send them from a cold to warm to hot? How do you do all this? When you go deep in that, and you got something special and unique, I mean, it's magical because you get that message hammered out small, on a small scale, where you get it, so you're hammering, adjusting this, so you have a good ROI. Once you've got a good ROI coming in, and everyone's definition of of good ROI is different. Some is 2 to 1, some is 4 to 1, others is 10 to 1. It all differs. Some it's like 0.25 to 1. But once you've got a good ROI coming in, and you got scalable traffic, my gosh, that's when you open it up. And then you take that core message. You have a core message, a core selling system, and a core way to engage people and grow their attention. You then take that and you put it on every single traffic platform that you can. Because there's no difference. As an engineer, I see there's no difference between traffic platforms. Traffic, like Google has never bought anything from me. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, none of these companies have ever bought anything from me or my clients. No, they're a way to reach people that will buy people, or that will buy things from us. Big, big, huge difference. So the platform, every platform looks differently. Like if you're doing stuff on YouTube, you can have short messages, you can have really long messages, right? If you're using Google Ads, well, you've got a very limited amount of stuff that you can say in there, but you're still the human engagement factor never changes. Doesn't matter what platform, the human engagement factor is always the same. You have to hook somebody, you have to grab their attention, hook them, and then amplify and increase their attention. And the more you can increase their attention, the more attention they're going to give you. The more attention they're going to give you, the more they're going to trust you. The more they're going to trust you, the more likely that they are to be helped. In this economy, trust is at an all-time low. Look at the media. Look at all the all the information that we do and don't have. It's like nobody trusts like media. Look at all the marketers. So much marketer speak out there. There's so much garbage out there. So much fluff and hype, and 30 days to instant riches and crap like that. It's like no, man. If you care about your audience, you educate them and you engage them. They're going to listen to you more, and they're going to trust you more. And as that trust grows, they're going to want to. I can't talk. They're going to want to get educated more. The more they educate, the more time they're going to invest. More time they're going to invest, the more they're going to trust you. So it's just like this beautiful upward cycle. And when you've got that message, that core message, and that way to hook them and engage them and amplify that, man, just you get that working once, and you just put that on every traffic platform you can. And all you're doing is you're putting a meter in front of every traffic platform to see if that platform is performing profitably. If it is, how do we maximize it? If it's not, can we make it work? If we can't make it work, just lop it off and don't worry about it.
Love it. I mean, it seems simple, but it's not easy. But you brought up a big term there, cold, warm, and hot. And I think this is important because I want to talk to you about how you defined it, because I think it's important for even regular marketers and people that are experienced to think back to cold, warm, and hot. Because how do you differentiate them, and why do you need to differentiate them?
Yeah, huge differentiation, because it's like, so colds, warms, and hots. And so I say there's those are the three types of prospects. There's no more, there's no less. I made over 100,000 cold calls in my days, and I found there's cold prospects, there's warm prospects, and there's hot prospects. Cold prospects have no problem. Yeah, no problem. Doesn't matter what you're selling them. They may need what you do. Someone may be doing, having a business and doing their own books, and they really need a bookkeeper or a CPA, but they don't want one. They want to do it themselves. Doesn't matter how much you hammer them, man. It's like they could care less. Cold's got no problem, and warms have a problem. They know they have a problem, and they're researching, quick or slow. They're researching to find out if they want to invest time, money, and energy to solve their problem. So they're not sure they want to solve it or not yet. They're kind of they're thinking about it. They want to research stuff and look into it. And then you got the hots. The hots, the hots got a problem, and they're actively looking for the best solution to buy right now. They got a problem. They want to get rid of it right now. They got a need. They got something that they want. And they want it right now. So they got a credit card in hand. They're looking. They're looking for the best. So the hots, cold's got no problem. So they're not going to spend any time with you. They might give you 30 seconds. They might read an article or blog or something like that, or watch a little bit of a video or read an email, but they could care less. So they'll be, even though they may be in your market an ideal prospective client at some point in time, they have no need right now. Warms, you want to educate them, meet them more of that, educate. You educate them about a number of different things, about where they are, how come they're stuck, why they can't grow, what they need, why different things don't work, why some things work well for others, what things work best for different situations. You're educating them. You're helping them out. But then the hots will invest as much time. They will read every page of a long page sales letter. They will watch long videos. They will watch. I had a call the guy earlier this morning. He's like, Chris, he goes, I ran a long video and a short video. He goes, my long video is outperforming 6-1 over the other ones. It's like, is that a surprise? He goes, 2 years ago, like before I learned about cold warms and hot, it was a huge surprise. Now it's not. He's like, so the hots are just, they will consume all the information in the world that they can on your topic. And if you think about anything that you're interested in, I bought a new pair of skis like about 6 months ago. My last pair of skis I bought 30 years ago. And so I want a new pair of skis. So at first I wasn't sure if I wanted them, and then I was thinking about it. So I would go on as I was cold. So I was go on. I would look around, then it'd go off, and yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I bought a ski pass, season pass. It's like my kids are getting older. I'm not gonna have many family trips left. I want to do some family trips. I need new skis. So I was like, I'm now warm. It's like, but I'm not sure if I really want them or not. So I started looking at the new technology. The shapes of the skis have changed, and the material, and it's like, gosh, I don't need to have these great big, huge, long, straight boards anymore. I can use a smaller shape ski now, and I'm going to carve better. How does that work? So I started watching videos, and I started going different, like ski manufacturers. Started looking at different websites, and I didn't do this all in one day. I did this over a period of a few months. And I was like, I'd watch a video here and then I'd forget about it, and I'd watch another video, then I'd hear it, and I'd see a buddy, hey, what kind, guy at hockey, hey, what kind of skis do you use? I need a new pair. And then I walked into a ski shop, and it's just like, and it's like, oh, and it's like, the more I educated myself, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to go skiing, I want to take some trips with my kids, and I want something that's going to do the work. Like the skis will do the work for me. I don't have to, the old skis, you had to do all the work. Now the new skis do all the work. My kids snowboard, but it's like, I want to be able to keep up with them. So I had the desire. I was now in the looking zone. I was now hot. As I was doing my research, I'm now hot. I'm now ready to buy. So I go in a couple different ski shops looking to buy skis, because I wanted to support small local businesses, and ended up, they didn't have the make and the model and the color that I wanted. So I ended up buying them from a place on the East Coast. And when I went to buy from them, I want to buy from a small shop, family owned and operated, that cared. They were like professional at what they do, and they cared. My values match their values. So I found a place, bought from them. The guy was great. So I went from cold, warm to hot in 6 months.
Wow.
But if somebody was hammering me, I don't know if I want skis or not. Like, that message is going to fall on deaf ears. It's like, dude, why are you selling me? I don't even know if I want skis. I don't even know if I'm going to ski. I haven't skied for 15 years. I don't know if I'm going to ski in the next 15 years. And then all of a sudden something happened. A life event happened where it's like, I realized, holy crap, my kids are getting older. I'm not going to have many trips. I want to go on some trips with them. That moved me into warm. So I'm now thinking, oh, I want to ski with them. Well, should I get new skis? So I started researching. If people are selling me, hey, I got this great deal, and man, I get you these skis like 30%. It's like, I don't even know if I want parabolics. Maybe I want straight skis. Maybe I want the real fat ones. Maybe I don't know. Do I want a ski for like a rock ski, a off-terrain ski? Or do I want, I don't even know what kind of ski I wanted. So if somebody goes hammer me, buy, I'd be like, dude, why? I don't even know what kind of skis I want. Now, once I was hot and I was dialed in, I know what kind of skis I wanted, and then I knew the color I wanted. Then I'm looking now I'm looking for the best one I can buy. Um, and I was on a call. This class I run, this guy was talking about. He's like, yeah, because we spent this an hour maybe it was longer anyhow with this client with this full analysis form on stuff, and the solution was so cheap for their budgets. There's bigger companies that work with it. It's so cheap for what they could afford. He goes, dude, he's like, and he goes, they needed it. I showed them all the problems that they had, and how this is gonna like hurt them. He goes, and he goes, you know what he said to me? He said, yeah, you know what? Let me think about this and get back to me in a year.
Yeah.
He goes, man, he goes like, I just wasn't like, maybe I just didn't prove my case hard enough. And I'm like, okay, is this guy cold or warm or hot? He goes, he's obviously not a hot. He goes, he's a cold. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe he's cold, maybe he's a little bit warm, but but it's like he's definitely not hot. If you're not hot, why waste your time? Like trying to sell somebody, giving them offers, giving them deadline offers, giving
Yeah.
them. This wasn't an e-commerce product. It was a service. Um, but it's like, why waste your time? You know, like
But
just
yeah,
engage them where they're at, help them out, educate them, and then help them move. And then when they become hot, then they'll be ready to talk to you. The other thing that we talked about before in an earlier call, Ian, was that with somebody they can also be a hot, but they could be cold to you. So so if they're cold to you, they're hot, meaning they're actively looking for the best thing to buy. If you come out and lead with, look how great I am. I work with Michael Gerber. I did this. I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of industry leaders, in different industries. And I could start off with that stuff, but they could care less. Like all they care about, they don't care about how many people I've worked with, what kind of returns I've got, they care less. All they care about is like, does can he help me? Can he help me solve my problem? You
exactly.
know, and do I like
Exactly.
him?
And exactly. That's what I say. I'm like, when someone comes to your website, they want to answer four questions, right? Do they know my problem? Have they helped someone like me? How do they do it? And do I like
Yeah,
them?
yeah. And then after that, there's like, yeah, this guy can help me with my problem, and I like this guy. Then after that, it's like, okay, well, oh, you did work with whoever, you did work with Michael. Oh, wow, that's impressive. Oh, you do. Wow, case study. Do you have references that I could tell you? Oh, you do. Wow, you're doing work with this guy. Wow, that then that stuff matters, but not initially. It
No.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And,
awesome.
and so many, it's like you pull the string on my back, and it's like blah 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 blah. But the thing that most people miss is that experienced marketers, um, they forget that they're like who they're selling to. They forget that they're selling to people, living,
Hmm.
breathing people who have problems. They have issues in life. They have things that they want. They have pains. They hear all these things. They know these things, but it's like let's just figure out who they are, what's going on in their world, where are they at in the stage, are they even in the looking zone, are they cold, are they warm, are they hot, and what's the best way to engage them? How would you want to be engaged? Not as an internet marketer, not markety speak, but treating them right.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Treat them right. And in the long run, it will work out. And if you try and, I think that's such a big idea because people bombard cold traffic with hot messages and they're like, this doesn't work. And then they give up on it and they've wasted money and wasted future opportunities too. But if you give those people what they need at that moment, they're going to come back to you time and time again, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you look at like first of all, like a fact right now with marketing is like buying cycles are longer, sales cycles are longer, and there's more competition on traffic platforms. Traffic's becoming like scattered and stuff like that. Cost per leads, cost per opt-ins. A lot of these things are going up in a lot of different areas. There's always things that contradict this. I understand that, but it's like you can't be in the game. Like I sound like a giant buzzkill when I talk to people because everyone wants the overnight success. I want that. Like I don't know anybody that doesn't want that, but I sound like a giant buzzkill. I say, okay, you know what? Here, from my experience working in over 100 different industries with hundreds of clients, here's what I found. It takes 3 to 4 months to build your core marketing foundation. You spend the rest of the year fine tuning it. And our metrics show companies should get 25 to 200% growth in that time. and then you're fine tuning it until we'd hit what Malcolm Gladwell would call the tipping point, where we've got a good ROI. Then we can open up the spigot and roll out multiple traffic platforms and have that hockey stick growth curve. But I tell people it's going to take you about 2 years. Like I was on a call with somebody. It's like for the next year, for 2022, your whole goal is just to work on this one small piece of your lead generation puzzle. That's it. You do this next year, you're set up for an unbelievable year. The year after that, it's going to be crazy. So it's like a giant buzzkill. It's like 2 years. It's like 2 years to own your niche, 2 years to own your market, 2 years whatever. But having that longer term perspective, and I think of you, and I look at like what you do. Man, you put out incredible content, free. It's awesome, and people can get it and consume it. And you haven't just been doing this for the last week. You've been doing this for a long time. And that's why you're well known and well respected in what you do, because it's like, hey man, this guy's solid. It's like I like this guy. He's solid. He's not putting fluff out. You know, and short term, you could do better being hypey and pounding your chest and saying how amazing you are. But you're going to get a much bigger, much better result. Doing engaging them, like letting them educate themselves. And then when they're hot, they're going to reach out.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's such a, I appreciate that, but it's a long game, and you'll hit some home runs along the way, right? You'll hit some
Absolutely.
of that, I think that's great. 2 years, the 2 years goes by really, really fast. But if you keep trying to hit that 90, I want the success in 90 days, I want the success in 90 days, you keep starting over, don't you?
Well, and also not only are you starting over, but I think you're actually doing yourself more harm, because there's something I read about years ago in Jim Collins' book Good to Great, and he talked about the Stockdale Paradox, where Stockdale was he spent the most time in a POW camp than like I think than anybody at the time, and I can't remember how long he spent in the POW camp, and it was miserable. The Hilton Hanoi, and he was interviewed, and they said who did not make it out of those prison camps. Who were the ones that had the greatest problem that died? In there. And he goes, "Oh, that's easy." He said, "The optimists." I remember reading Jim Collins' book, and it's like what? It's like the optimists. He goes, "Yeah, the optimists were the ones that said, oh yeah, by Christmas time we're going to be out." And then Christmas would come and go, and they weren't out. They'd say Easter. They just reset. Easter, we're going to be out. Easter would come and go, they wouldn't go out. By fall, we're going to be out. Fall would come and go, and they went. By Christmas this year, I know for sure we're going to be out by Christmas this year. Christmas this year would come and go, and they wouldn't get out. And he said that they died of like brokenhearted. They lost hope because they kept setting all these things. And I see that so much with marketing and marketers. It's like, by this we're going to have we're going to hit this home run, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do this campaign. This is the one, and it doesn't work the way they thought they would or hoped it would. And then they try the next one, then that doesn't work, and they try the next one, then that doesn't work. They try the next one, that doesn't work, and then every time it doesn't work, you're resetting it, but also you're hurting yourself internally, because emotionally you're getting tired, you're getting fatigued. And then what Stockdale said is what was different from him and the guys that made it out. They had a different mindset. Their mindset was like, we're going to make it out. Don't know when, but we're going to make it out. And so when I talk to people about 2 years, it's like, okay, no, we're going to get this thing solved. Maybe it can happen sooner. Maybe it's going to be longer than that. And it depends on what solved. It depends on what goals are, stuff like that. So time frames are adjusted. But when I'm talking to people about time, it's like, think about 2 years, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at not just where we are. We're not going to look at just where we're going, but we're going to look at how far we've come. We're going to look at the growth that we've had, and we're going to use every campaign as learning about our market, learning about our message, learning about, and let's take the emotion out of marketing. Take the emotion out of it, and just look at it from an engineer standpoint. We're going to look at the data, we're going to look at the numbers, and we're going to look at what's working, what's not working. Take all the emotion out of it, not taking the passion out of it, not the passion of like wanting to to impact a market, wanting to help people, want to build a successful business, wanting to whatever those things. Not keeping that passion into it, but taking the emotion out of how well this campaign does. It's like every campaign's got a different purpose. And let's look at it. Let's look at the results. What can we learn from it? How do we adjust that data feedback loop, tighten it up, make it better? Everyone I know that's built huge successful businesses, that's one of the things that they do. Let's take the emotion out of it, and let's plan on it's like and do everything we can to make it work. And we know this is going to work because if you can serve, here's the thing: if you can serve your market better than anybody else can, you've got a unique way of doing it. Can you learn? Like, can you build over 2 years? Can you build out those three systems? Can you build a system for colds? Well, that's pretty easy because they don't care about you anyhow, so you don't have to do a lot of work with them. Depends on the market. If it's a small market, you're obviously going to do like cold outreach to colds on a regular basis. But anyhow, so can you build a system for colds, one for warms and one for hots? Can you build that out, and refine that, work on that, adjust that over a couple years? Can you learn? Can you learn from what your market's telling you, what the data's telling you? Can you learn from that unemotionally? Can you learn from that and tighten up and change your messaging until you've got that, like, till it's just clicking. It's just happening. Can you do that? If you can do that, oh my gosh, all you got to do is just get through this part of the journey, and then it's like you get this massive, huge hockey stick growth stuff, and that's the stuff that I love to see. But it takes work, and a lot of the work is just mental work and like staying in the saddle.
Yep. That's it, right? It's like a marathon. You got just one foot in front of the other, and it's a marathon. You don't know where the end is.
Well, I did. So I've done marathons. I've done centuries. I've done half Ironmans. I did Ironman. And I remember when I was training for Ironman, I lost my dad to brain cancer, and I wanted to do something. I had all this pent up energy, and I wanted to do something. So I raised money for cancer, and wonderful program with team and training. And they gave us a coach, and I remember Coach Dave. Coach Dave, he's like Chris. He's like, we had a small team. There's like 10 or 12 of us on the team. He's like, look, I've done lots of Ironmans myself. I've helped hundreds of people through this. My goal is to get you through it and get you injury free, through it. And he goes, here's the deal. He goes, when you're doing an Ironman, you're going to hit a dark spot. You are going to hit a dark spot. When you hit a dark spot, all you do is just keep shuffling your feet forward. You just keep shuffling your feet. Eventually, you're going to pop out of it. So when you like look at doing an Ironman in your business, running a marathon in your business, you're going to hit dark spots. You're going to hit, it's like, yes, set these goals, but like, let's learn and let's keep shuffling our feet, keep moving forward, pull the emotion out of it, look at things objectively, and then things are going to like start revealing themselves and are going to start like becoming very clear. And you're going to start seeing this like incredible growth, but it ain't going to happen overnight.
Chris, we'll send people. You've got an amazing 3-part course, the 3 systems free training. We'll put link to that in the show notes. It's all this stuff is on chrisgoegan.com. We'll put a link to that. What's the best place to follow you? LinkedIn?
Yeah. Go follow me on LinkedIn. Connect with me. Shoot me a message. I'm a human. Go to my website and you put the link in there. Get the 3 systems guide, on there. Kind of learn a little more about the 3 systems, and maybe you might want to hear more from me. Maybe you don't. I don't know, but.
Well, I think the cold, warm, and hot, it's super important for you to understand. It's super important to have systems around it. It's super important.
Yeah.
We make case stories, cold, warm, and hot, because you should be telling different stories all throughout the time. And you definitely want to check it out. And you can't argue with some of the success that you've had. But Chris, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Thanks for having me, and thank you for allowing me to share.
Awesome. And thank you all for taking Chris and I on your journey. This has been Iron Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.